Hello out there. We're on the air. Good morning. Happy Saturday. I got a little bit of an outfit change on this morning. A little bit of an outfit change. I think this is the first time I've had a hoodie or sweater different than gray on for about 4 months. I got about 3 or 4 of them that I run through. Decided to come on today to do a little Saturday special. There's a little bit of mayhem going on. When I decided to do this, everybody was sleeping in the house. And now, of course, as soon as we go here, we got a little bit of mayhem in the background. So we'll see. I don't really have a whole lot of expectations for this show today. I just really wanted to pop on, talk about a couple things. If anybody shows up in the chat, that's great. We can talk about whatever you want to. And really just to celebrate hitting 1,000 subscribers is it's a milestone in a way. I think we have so far to go. It's not my end goal to make a little bit of money off of ad revenue on YouTube. That's not what we're trying to build here, but you still have to celebrate the wins as they happen. So that's why I decided to do a little show this morning. And I also want to test out the zap.stream. So bear with me here for a couple seconds as I'm going to share the link if I can find it. I don't even know if we're live on zap.stream or not. Oh, we are. So if I go there, how do I share this now? There we go. Share. How do I do this? I must say Zapstream is not very user-friendly. That's my only beef with them. Like, I don't know how to I can see this show on zap.stream, but I cannot find a way to share it, which is a little bit insane, to be honest with you. It says share on Twitter or broadcast on Nostr. Okay, well, I'm going to try this. Let's see what happens here. Or if I can put it in the chat. Oh, double comments there. That won't work. What can I do here? I'm going to try to share this on Nostr right now. Just bear with me here for a couple minutes. It's going to be a pretty laid back show today. We might get a visit from Arnie. He's been popping in and out of here, squeaking his toy. But we'll see how things go. Anyways, BTC Moon Guy's in the house, the Honey Badger. Congrats on 1,000. Thank you very much. I wouldn't say it was an easy road. It seems like, I've been making videos on YouTube for about, I don't know, a couple years now. Crazy guy in the background there. I'm sure he'll pop in here right away. Okay, did this work? A couple years now, but it was really in November 2023. That's kind of when I started taking this channel a little bit more seriously with a live show. Every morning, a live show. And a big shout out to everybody who has been showing up in the chat here every day and being part of the show. That's the cool thing about the show, is that there's lots of really knowledgeable and great people in the chat, and it makes it that much better of an experience, I think, for anybody watching. That's kind of the gist of or the vibe I get from it. So let's try this. I'm going to try sharing this on Nostr. If anybody's there, if anybody follows me on Nostr, you can find the link there. Check out zap.stream. It's something that I'm going to be using more and more in the future. I'm either going to get rid of Rumble, or it'll depend with the Patreon show, because I have to stream the Patreon from a different account. That's what popped up here, Tjor. But anyways, let's see if that works. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it worked. Cool. Nice when things work out. So I'm going to see, is there a live chat? There's got to be a live chat in there. Can somebody do me a favor? I'm going to do a little bit of a contest too for 1,000 subscribers today. But can somebody do me a favor and hop over to, if you follow me on Nostr, hop over to zap.stream, the link there, and see if you can leave a comment and how everything looks from my end here. I would appreciate that. Or if you just go to zap.stream, you can actually, it'll pop up right on the very first page that we're live right now. So I would appreciate that. I have this open on my other screen here, and we'll see how she looks. This is just kind of a test run for zap.stream. Plus, I want to talk about a few very important things today. But like we do every show, we're going to start with some metrics. Saturday, kind of like that name. I might start doing some Saturday shows. The reason I did it today is because everybody in the house is sleeping or was sleeping, and I was kind of bored. So I was like, "What? Fuck it, we'll hop on, see what's going on." Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Rob. I very much appreciate it. So still nobody in zap.stream. I don't know if it's just not showing up on my end or if nobody's bought took the bait there or not. So let's start the show with the metrics. See what's going on there. Where are they? There we go. I'm going to do an abbreviated version today because I dicked around for the first 6 minutes here. So I want to speed this up a little bit. So there is the metrics today. We are currently block height 834,940. And one thing I did notice this morning is that the fees are incredibly low. So probably right after the show, I got a couple UTXOs that I need to consolidate. I'm probably going to be doing that today. 12 sats per VByte. You're not going to find a better deal than that, I don't think, going into the future. So we're almost at block height 835,000. And then what is it? What's the halving? 840,000, right? So we're about 5,060 blocks away from the halving. Approximately 35 days. Yep. Right there it says 5,060 blocks till the next halving. So that's going to tie into today's show quite a bit. I'll get this off here. Like I said, I'm just doing an abbreviated metrics today. Nothing too crazy. But I did want to start the show with a tweet that I saw. And it was from one of my favorite guys on Twitter, actually. This guy is if you're still on Twitter, make sure you're following this fella. Oh, there we go. I see zombies in the chat. We're working. Zap.stream is working. It's nice when things work out because they rarely do for me, especially technology-wise. So big shout out to Zombie4. I wonder if I can send him a zap for that. Let's try. Oh, there's Arnie. I don't know if you can see him or not. Hey, bud. You want to come say hi? We're live on the internet right now. Come here. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. There's Arnie. Hi, buddy. Hello. You're making a lot of noise out there. We're trying to do a show here. You want to hang out in here or you want to go back? I'll leave it to you. You can hang here if you want to. Oh, I got to unlock this password. I can zap. I'm just not really set up for it right now. Anyways, lots going on here right now. That is Arnie. He's the newest member of the house here. And he is quite the pup. I don't know what he is. Everybody asks what he is. I have no idea. But he's a good guy. He's a rescue pup. We got him in Saskatchewan. And for the most part, 9 out of 10 days, he's a pretty good dog. So we're working on it. Zombie. Oh, it says there's 14 viewers in Zap.stream. Nice. They all get to meet Arnie. Okay, where was I? This is one of the best follows, in my opinion, on Twitter right now. And it is Thomas from Hey Apollo. So he's the guy, every time we talk about a new device, new exchange, anything to do with Bitcoin, I always direct people to check out heyapollo.com. And it's a really good resource for people to go in and just see what other Bitcoiners are saying about different products, exchanges, whatever you need. You can go to heyapollo.com. Not a sponsor of the show. Maybe they will be one day. But in the meantime, this is the tweet that he sent out yesterday. So it's a picture of Steve Jobs from The Big Short. And it says, "We just broke all-time high. The halving is next month in exactly, what did I say? Or approximately 560 blocks, about a month. The ETFs are buying 25,000 Bitcoin per week right now on average. And the USA is adding $1 trillion in debt every 100 days. And you're bullish on the dollar." And I don't know how many people are actually bullish on the dollar. It's more so the fact that people are sleeping on Bitcoin. And that's something that's going to kind of be the main theme today. A couple things here. I'm going to show a few spreadsheets like I usually do. People usually hate spreadsheets, but I think it's really good visual for people to not only explain with words, but also see it in numbers. Not Mel Gibson. There's a new face in the chat. Good morning. I think he's giving the eyes at Arnie, maybe. Arnie's really whining right now. Anyways, he'll be okay. I just let him out for a whiz before the show, so he's just being a baby. So let's just get right into this. And the kind of the main idea here through all this is that this is kind of the last chance, I think, for the little guy in Bitcoin. For the last 15 years, we've had the opportunity of a lifetime for anybody who's been willing to listen, put in the work, and put some of their capital into Bitcoin. We've gone through the opportunity of a lifetime, and I think we're just at the very end of that right now. And I'm going to kind of explain what I'm talking about there. And a little bit of background to this. The reason why I did want to talk about this today is because over the last couple of weeks, something I do outside of the show is I help people who have never been in Bitcoin before. I help them get some Bitcoin. I help them store that Bitcoin and then do a couple follow-ups in the coming weeks just to make sure that everything's good, because that is the most important part. Buying it is easy, but having a good place to store it and really keeping track of your processes right off the bat is the key. And so with that, there's been several people in the last couple of weeks who have been investing not $100, not $200, but $25, $50, $100,000 into Bitcoin. And so those people are showing up now. And the one thing that we have as the little guy, I wouldn't say somebody who has $100,000 sitting around to invest in Bitcoin is a little guy, but what we have, the one advantage that you have right now is time. That's the only advantage you have against somebody with $100,000 in their bank account. The one advantage you have right now is time. And I'm going to kind of explain that right now. So this is a little spreadsheet I put together showing a few comparisons here. So this is historical ones right here. So let's start with that. This is an investment of $1,000. Let's say that you have a pension, retirement fund, TFSA, RSP, $10,000. I do think that that's a fairly reasonable amount for most people. Not that they have $10,000 in their checking account, but $10,000 that they could allocate into a different investment, an investment that's outperformed everything in the last 15 years. So $10,000 back in March 2020, the price of Bitcoin was $4,800. With a $10,000 investment, you could have got 2.08 Bitcoin out of that, or 208 million sats with $10,000. That was 4 years ago today. So in between March 2020 and March 2021, that's when the last halving happened. And so we saw the price go from 4,800 per Bitcoin to 56,000 per Bitcoin in 1 year, leading up to the halving and post halving. So if you would have waited, for the FOMO to kick in, and instead of just listening to your gut or listening to your friend who is a Bitcoiner, you would have missed out on just about 200 million sats or 2 Bitcoin in 1 year. So with that, this is historical. So there was an 11 times increase from March 2020 to March 2021. Bitcoin increased 11 times. And so if we project that into the future as well, if that's kind of our prediction here, and it is impossible to predict the future for sure. There's no crystal ball here. But if you look at everything that's happening right now between the ETFs, between the countries like Qatar, the Middle East, everybody's looking at Bitcoin right now and they're trying to figure out the best way to do it. And so not only do I think that we're going to match last time's increase in that year, March to March, I think we're going to exceed that. So I used 11.7 as an increase here. So now let's focus on today. March 2020, $68,000 Bitcoin. You could get 15 million sats for that. And if you wait a year to March 2025, if you're just going to keep putting it off and off and off, you're going to end up with 1 million sats. 1 million sats. So even if you think about it, even if you think about where we were, if you're a Bitcoiner who's watching the show today, think about 1 million sats. And even a couple months ago, it really didn't take a whole lot of dollars to get 1 million sats. But if we go through this whole thing and people sit on it and procrastinate and wait and wait and wait, they're going to be paying $10,000, I think, as a decent prediction, and they're going to get 1 million sats with that. And so this next part here, this is kind of the same idea that I'm talking about. A little bit more, a few more people have woken up in the house here. I'm going to shut the door. So I can focus a little bit better here. So as I said, the main thing to keep in mind here is that the one advantage that you do have right now is time. If you're the average guy, the little guy with not a whole, with you don't have $100,000 in the bank account, the one thing that you do have is time to get ahead of this and to educate yourself as best as possible in Bitcoin today. So let's look at this right now. This is kind of what I wanted to show in terms of an advantage that somebody would have had in March 2020. So somebody like you, somebody like me, they put $10,000 into Bitcoin March 2020, and they got 2 Bitcoin for that. The person who's comfortable, like we'll call them one of the suits, somebody who's been in the traditional system, they've made a lot of money from that traditional system. They wait. They're still scared of Bitcoin, but finally they see it running up enough where they're just like, fuck it. I'm putting some money in here. I'm going to put $100,000 into Bitcoin. This is a year later from now. So in March 2021, they decide to put in $100,000. We're going to assume the price. This is based on historical. This is what they would have got. So they would have paid $56,000 for a Bitcoin. They would have ended up with 1.7 Bitcoin for 176 million sats. So kind of the point of showing that there is that if you're somebody with $10,000, you could actually accrue more wealth, accrue more Bitcoin, accrue more monetary leverage in the future if you get in now versus waiting for everybody else to get in there. So in March 2020, you put in 10,000 bucks, you end up with 2 Bitcoin. You wait a year, March 2021, this is when the FOMO kicks in. This is when the suits show up. They now have to pay $100,000 and they get less Bitcoin than you would have had a year before that. So the message here, and I keep saying this, but it is the truth. The one advantage that we do have right now is time. We can get ahead of this. We can educate ourselves. And when all these wealthy, rich people show up, they're going to actually end up with less Bitcoin than we have. And if you understand Bitcoin, from there, you kind of keep going with it. You educate yourself, you build a network within the Bitcoin community, and you realize that having more Bitcoin today is going to be much more important than having dollars today. And at the same time, so that was somebody who was wealthy. They had 100,000 bucks. They still got 1.77 Bitcoin. The advantage that those people have is that they already have a lot of wealth in the old system. And so it doesn't take much other than actually finding the time, finding somebody who can do it for them to do that. But that's the advantage that they have is money. The advantage that we have is time. And so if you would have waited, the little guy, if you would have waited for a year, you would have paid the same Bitcoin price and you only would have ended up with 0.17 of a Bitcoin. Just by waiting a year and putting it off and procrastinating there. I'm going to check on zap.stream here, see how we're doing. Where is it? There we go. A little bit of action in there. It's like I said, zap.stream is something that we're going to be doing going forward. I think I'm going to put it in the repertoire. I don't love YouTube. I don't love YouTube. The one thing that YouTube has going for them is the network, same as Twitter. And they also, everything's very easy to use on there, very user friendly. But I don't love the idea of the censorship aspect that we saw last election cycle. We're in another election year right now. I do foresee this TikTok ban is going to be just the Kickstarter to that. I think YouTube's going to be going down the same road. And I also don't love how much YouTube really takes advantage of their content creators. You have to hit 1,000 subscribers to even get a sniff of ad revenue from YouTube. Not only 1,000 subscribers, but you have to have 4,000 watch hours. That's a lot of time. Whereas if you go over to zap.stream and you're getting value from somebody on there, you can send it instantly, and the content creators can receive it instantly through Bitcoin, through Lightning. So like I said, it is something that we're going to focus on in the future. We're going to be focusing on these freedom tools versus the legacy system. We still have to play a little bit of a part here within YouTube, within Twitter and TikTok. But the idea here is that kind of like the transition of fiat to Bitcoin, we're making the transition from the legacy platforms into the freedom ones. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth in a couple minutes here. But I did want to give a couple. I see a few people in the chat here, which is good, on zap.stream. Go in there and test it out. I'm going to do, we're going to do a bit of a giveaway here. And I wish that I would have been a little bit more prepared for it. But like I said, this was just kind of a last minute idea for the show today. But I'm going to give a little bit of a giveaway here. It's going to be an easy one. So what we're going to do is, to celebrate hitting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'm going to give away 1,000 sats, which isn't much in today's dollar terms. But I think that if you believe, as I do, that eventually we'll get to 1 sat equals $1, then you got quite a bit of wealth in the future. So I do want to say to people in the chat, thank you very much for getting us here. We got a very long ways to go and a lot of different changes that are going to happen throughout that. But I'm very glad that you have been here from the start, and hopefully we'll be in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 1,000 sats live on the show here. I think it'll be kind of cool to do. So we got a couple people watching on YouTube, a couple people watching on zap.stream. The question here, the question that I want to throw out there to people is what? A little trivia question. Okay, let's do this. And I want to make sure that I have the right answer first. So get your keyboards ready. It's going to be the first person to answer is going to be the winner of the 1,000 sats. I'm going to send it live on the show, just because we can with Bitcoin. We don't have to ask for anybody's permission. We don't have to wait around for it to show up. Okay, so here's the question. In April 2024, that's when we're going to hit the next halving cycle. So the halving cycle is not based on dates. It's based on the blocks. And so the question, and the first person to answer this is going to get sent 1,000 sats. The question is, after this halving epoch, what block will the next one be? So that would be in 2028, probably around April again. What block will it be though? Not date, but what block will be the 5th epoch after this one? The first person to answer that question is going to win 1,000 sats on the spot here. See if anybody in zap.stream has got it. Oh, Letha's in zap.stream. We got people everywhere right now. This is good. Francis has an answer, 840,000. That's when the April one's going to be. When is the one in 2028? What block height will it be then? We got a question in the chat from Tommy D. Do. Brave little toaster doesn't understand the question. Okay, so I think Francis is probably going to get it here, but the question is, in April 2024, we're going to hit the halving epoch, which is the 840,000 block. When will the next halving be in 2028? What block will that be? Bobby has the correct answer. Bob Slee. And we got Zombie in the chat says each block epoch is 210,000 blocks, which is correct. But we're looking for the correct answer there. And Bob wins. So Bob, this is what we're going to do. If you have a Lightning address, I'm going to send it to you right now. So in the chat, put in if you got a Wallet of Satoshi or a Get Alby address. And if not, you might be shit out of luck as well. So that's the only way that I can do it right now is through, I'm going to send it on Wallet of Satoshi. So we'll wait for Bob. Bob is the winner. The next halving after the April 2024 one will be 1,050,000 block. 1 million Bitcoin blocks. Not too far away, 4 years. So congrats to Bob. And while we wait for that, maybe we'll do a little bit of housekeeping here, just a wee bit, because sometimes on the show, on the daily show every morning, get pretty caught up in everything going on, get too far into the routine. But a couple housekeeping items that I did want to share with you is that the first one is that if you're a business owner out there, if you happen to be watching this show right now, if you're a business owner, if you have a product or a service that you sell online, send me an email, 88sats@proton.me. We're going to be doing some cool different promotional stuff within the channel here, within Nostr. And it's going to be very, very reasonably priced, especially off the start, once we can kind of get our feet under us. So if you're a business owner who wants to be selling your products or services to Bitcoiners, if you want to get them in front of more Bitcoiners, shoot me an email, 88sats@proton.me, and I'm going to send you a little package of what we got going on. Very, very reasonably priced. Almost too reasonable. So that's the idea here. To take it a little step further here, with this channel, the goal for most YouTube channels is to get a couple big sponsors like BlockFi or like ShakePay or whoever it may be. That's kind of the goal. I want to stray away from that. There's about one company that I'd be willing to work with, and that's Coldcard. So if they happen to reach out to me, they will be a sponsor on the show. But outside of that, I really want to focus on helping Bitcoiners. And I want to help spread their message, their business, their products and services for a very low fee, talk about it on this channel. And just that's kind of the vision for this show. So if you are somebody, and if you get in on this kind of earlier, you're going to get a very reasonable rate to get your word out there in front of Bitcoiners. There we go. Oh, Bob says, I don't have a wallet on hand, but you can donate the first person to tell you what the very last block reward per block will be. I don't even know if I know that answer. Actually, I think I do. It has to be. There's only one answer there. So we'll go with that. If anybody's watching the show right now and wants to join in on that, Bob says he's going to donate the 1,000 sats to the first person who can tell you what the very last block reward per block will be, around 2136. So we'll do that. Somebody can answer it, and we'll send the sats live on the air here. The next one. So part of the business owners that I'm talking to here and who I want to be focused on within this show, we're going to be building something, a business around that in our Living in the Future tier. So if you're looking for something, if you want to be part of this Bitcoin movement here, if you want to ride the wave of Bitcoin for this next decade, we're setting up something. It's going to be the first of many, I think, but we're setting up something in the living in the future tier. And if you want to be a part of it, we're actually going to decentralize the whole thing. There's not going to be one owner of it, but we're all going to do different jobs, different roles, and try to move it forward. It's all going to be Bitcoin based. It's going to be no fiat. And we're going to be helping businesses within Bitcoin and otherwise get in front of Bitcoiners. So what I'll tell you today is that if you're interested, if that's something that sounds interesting to you, you don't have to quit your job. This is going to be something that you do 1 or 2 hours a week, probably, depending on how busy we get, I guess. But 1 or 2 hours a week, you're going to earn some Bitcoin. And within that, if you're interested, you click I think there should be a description below the video here. It says living in the future. Sign up as a new member. You can try it out for 7 days. You can feel it out. And if you don't like it, just cancel it. But then after that, it's only $5 a month to be a part of that. And kind of the long-term vision of this is that I want people to be actually earning more Bitcoin than their monthly membership fee with that. And you definitely have to have some sort of friction there, because I don't want this to be just a bunch of random people spamming it. So you do have to have a little bit of skin in the game, but the idea is that you're going to get more skin on the other side of it. So if you are interested in that, that's just one aspect of it. We do a whole bunch of more advanced Bitcoin topics in there, real focused on nostr and other freedom tech tools, and just like different things that are new and that we want to try out. So that's the idea. And we just set up a group chat on Signal for everybody within that tier there. So free trial, $5 a month. If you're interested, if you want to start earning some Bitcoin and be a part of this, something kind of cool, then definitely check it out. We got a couple guesses in here. I haven't seen the correct answer yet. So the very last block reward per block, think about it logically. What would the very last block be? And like I said, I'm just guessing here, but there has to be only one answer there. Tommy D, maybe we should start doing more Saturday chats here, or Saturday shows. I've seen quite a few new faces in the chat, which is good. And zap.stream has a couple people. The chat's going in there too. I would love to just fully transition off of YouTube and into zap.stream, because honestly, I've been part of a few streams on zap.stream, and you can do so much more on there than you can on YouTube. You can share links, you can share pictures, you can zap people, you can zap the show. I don't know if there's even a way for me to see if a zap comes in or not. But we still have 0 correct answers here for Bob's question. Letha says she knows, but she looked it up. Well, at least you're honest. Yeah, he was asking the very last block reward there. Okay, and then the last thing for housekeeping that I wanted to share with you guys is that every show, there's a bunch of Bitcoiners in the chat. And like I said, I'm very much appreciative of that. It really adds another element to the show. And with that, I think that one thing I will say is that a lot of people out there have bought Bitcoin. They spent a little bit of time watching some YouTube shows, but I still think that there's a large disconnect in terms of buying that Bitcoin and actually mapping out your whole strategy in terms of where you want to go with that. So not only is it, I'd say the main thing to keep in mind there is that for people who are new into Bitcoin, but think they're kind of starting to get it and are excited about it, you don't know what you don't know. And usually the only way you find out what you didn't know is by getting burned by that. Whether that's high fees, whether that's a security leak within whatever wallet you're using, whatever it is, I think a lot of Bitcoiners don't know what they don't know. And so kind of what I want to offer you is there's the Patreon there, there's a membership, you know, it's a recurring thing. Not everybody loves that. And so one other thing that I am offering going forward here for the next little while is that I'm going to set up like a 1 hour, 2 hour call, like a Bitcoin strategy, just to take a really good look at where you're at, where you want to go, talk about a plan, a strategy, how to better optimize your security, really dial that in, because this is the time to make sure that you're doing that properly. And when you want to spend that Bitcoin, optimizing that in terms of which wallet to keep it in, how to keep your fees down, and just planning the whole thing. So there's a couple options there. One is like an hour or two session just for us to chat, make sure that you have everything in place. Second set of eyes, essentially, and to walk you through anything that you need. And there's also a higher tier within the Patreon if you want to have something quarterly with that. So if you are interested in that as well, I think even if you are a Bitcoiner who's been in here for a little while, there's still a disconnect between what, you don't know what you don't know. And the only way you find out usually is by getting burned. And so if we can get ahead of that, I think that's the idea here. So shoot me an email, whatever you're looking for within Bitcoin, just tell me what it is, and I'll kind of tell you how to get there in terms of where to go. So 88 sats at proton.me. Hit me up. Let's see if we got the right answer here yet. So Ballsy Golf is in the house. Nate L, that seems pretty high to me. Okay, let's do an easier one here. This one's too hard for people, Bob. It's got to be one sat, right? The very last block. So that's what I would say. I also missed a question back here from Tommy D. So he says DCA over the next 6 months or all at this stage of the market? It's a really good question and a very important question right now, because I think there are a lot of people who are somewhat new to Bitcoin and they don't really know the best way to do this right now. And so I think for the most part, people get into Bitcoin and they hear the DCA, the dollar cost average, as being the best strategy. Two things why I would say that DCAing at this point is not the best strategy. Number one, you really have to pay close attention to, when you're DCAing, how you're moving that Bitcoin around. So you have to have some sort of plan in place in terms of, if you say you're buying it on an exchange, we'll use River for an example in the US. You put $100 every month or every week into your River account, you buy Bitcoin, and then you're sending that Bitcoin from River into your own wallet. That's kind of like the advice within Bitcoin is to not leave it on the exchanges. But the problem you're going to run into with that is that when you go to spend that Bitcoin in the future, you're going to have a shitload of UTXOs built up. And it's probably going to cost you more in fees to move that Bitcoin than the actual Bitcoin balance that you have in each single UTXO. And that's something that not a lot of people really understand when they get into Bitcoin, not even close to understand it. So that's one issue with the DCA, just in general. But the second issue with the DCA is that I think that based on, I'll bring this up right now just to show kind of my explanation of this. I keep this tweet handy because it's kind of important to where we are right now. And this is a tweet from Dylan LeClaire a couple weeks ago. I'll see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. Holy. So it says the time it took Bitcoin to double after its previous breaks of its all-time highs. December 2020 was 18 days. March 2017, 84. November 13, 10 days. And March 13, 18 days. So when you're thinking about that, we just broke our all-time high about a week ago now. And so if you're considering dollar cost averaging in right now, I think that that's a bad play. I think you should be taking whatever amount of capital that you have that you're wanting to allocate to Bitcoin, and I would dump it in there today. Don't wait for the price to go down. It might drop a couple $1,000 max, I think. But you also don't want to miss out in case it does shoot up like it has in the past. So that's two things there. Number one is the UTXOs. That's just general advice for DCAing. And the second one, based on where we are today in the market after the halving or leading up to the halving, I would say that don't sleep on it. There's going to be a day, I think, in the not so distant future. Last time it was 18 days. We're probably about 7 days into it now. And so sometime in the not so distant future, Bitcoin is going to absolutely rocket. So tell me, what I would say is whatever you have right now that you want to put to Bitcoin, dump it in there in one shot, lump sum. And then from there, if you want to start allocating like $100, $200 a month, then that's when I would be DCAing. But your first initial purchase, I would definitely be going right off the hop. Sorry, I'm missing some Missing some comments here. Tommy says, just describe me. That's what stage he's at. Well, maybe we need to have a little chat, Tommy. Consider joining the Patreon though, because there's a lot of good people in there, a lot of good info, and I think that will help you progress over time as well. So either one, just shoot me an email. I can tell you kind of which one is best for you in terms of the sessions or the Patreon stuff. Where are we? Yeah, Letha has a meme with all the halving dates. Yeah, so it would be one sat because the Bitcoin will keep, what would you call it? We'll keep mining blocks of Bitcoin until we reach that 21 million. I actually have that on here as well. It's kind of a scrambly show, but I knew it was going to be. Oh, you probably don't want to go through all this with me. These are all my notes for all the shows we've done, all in one shot. Lots of scrolling here. So this is what it looks like. Let me zoom out here a little bit. This is really, so like Letha said, she's got a meme of the halving dates and the rewards on it. One thing I will say is that I love this spreadsheet. I think that this is much more visually appealing for a lot of people. I don't know why there's some highlights here, but let's get rid of that just so people aren't distracted. So this is a spreadsheet that I use in terms of following the halving stuff. So you can see in 2012, the block rewards, every 10 minutes on average, 50 new Bitcoin were created. 2016, the next halving epoch, it went down to 25. 2020, the next one was 12.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. This is where we are today. 2024, 6.25 Bitcoin. And in 2028, I guess this would be starting in April, but ending in 2028, we drop down to 3.125 Bitcoin every block. But the cool thing, and this is really where you see the differences here in per day. So right now there's 900 Bitcoin per day that are being mined. The next one, when we hit the halving in April, it's going to drop down to 450 Bitcoin per day. And then we get down to the next one, it's going to be 225. And I think the reason why these are highlighted is because this is when things get really serious in terms of Bitcoin. Because if we look at 2060, I think it's going to be within most of our lifetimes. We're going to live through a point where there's only 2 Bitcoin mined per day. 2 Bitcoin for the entire world. And then 2064, we drop down to below 1 Bitcoin per day being mined. And this is what Bob was talking about here. So you can see it doesn't even show up on mine per day. But that's the very last one, 2136. It'll be 1 sat, the very last block that's mined. So Nate, I guess Nate gets it. Nobody else got it. So Nate, if you got a Lightning address, put it in the chat and I'll send over your sats right now. Oh, there's me on the screen. I forgot I was sharing it. I just want to make sure that nobody else on zap.stream got it. So with that, another thing to note there that probably not a lot of people would know or really care about, we got 21 million and 24,000. That's the total. 21 million rounded down, but that's what it ends up being once we get to the very last halving epoch. So kind of cool. Bit of a Bitcoin. Nate doesn't even want it. Okay, well, you know what? I'm keeping the 1,000 sats then. Pluck it. Howard got it right. Howard got it right. He's a little bit late. He must be delayed here a little bit, but Howard got it right. So if Howard has a Lightning address that he's willing to post in the chat, he's going to get the sats. That's the last chance though. Okay. That's it for the housekeeping. That was a little bit of lots going on there, but that's okay. Let's talk about this last thing here, and then we'll wrap her up for the day. I thought this was going to be a quicker show. I didn't really expect anybody to show up on a Saturday, to be honest with you. But we got a visit from Arnie. We've been trying to give away 1,000 sats here, but nobody has a Lightning wallet set up. So we'll see if Howard does. If not, we're moving on. So the last part here, this is an important one. And I'm happy that we had zap.stream going today. That is something we're going to be focused on going forward. But the other thing I wanted to talk about today was nostr. And I've really been beating this like a dead horse, but I think it is so important. And so many people out there are sleeping on this. Before that, okay. So Tommy says, appreciate your thoughtful response with receipts. No problem. No problem. That's what these shows are about. So Tommy, reach out to me. We'll chat. So the last part here, I want to talk about nostr. And for the first month or so that I was talking about nostr, I feel like people were just kind of like, it'll go away. It'll go away. And then in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed quite a few people from the people who watch this show every day, the community here. I've seen a lot of new people joining nostr because of, I don't know, because of me or because they heard it from somebody else, but people are starting to join nostr, and it's only going to accelerate from here. So last week in the States, they set up a TikTok ban. They're trying to ban TikTok in the US, which is absolutely, it's hard to even imagine that that could happen, honestly. And they're trying to blame it on the Chinese IP, all that kind of bullshit. But we know exactly what's happening there. They're trying, they pass through all these bills. They call it something fancy that people won't really bat an eye to, that they're doing good for the world. But hidden with all these bills and proposals are just, they want more tax and they want more control. It's an election year this year, and they're trying to use that to shut down TikTok because too much truth is getting out there right now. That's the problem. Too much truth is being spread across the internet on TikTok. And I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more depth on Monday in terms of Bitcoin and truth and how similar they are. But one thing I would say before we go is that this is important. In the last week, there's been a ton of new people on nostr that have come over from TikTok. Join nostr. Nostr is such an incredible place, an incredible platform, I guess you'd call it. It's a protocol, but there's such a community being built there right now. And not only are you going to meet some Bitcoiners, you're going to feel like you're part of a community there, but you're also going to learn a lot. And I give a lot of credit to nostr. It was the best decision that I've made in terms of my business stuff, online stuff. Joining nostr a year ago was the best decision of my life. And so not only are you going to meet new people there, but you're also going to be learning a ton of stuff. There's a lot of very intelligent people on there who know a ton about Bitcoin and share that. And if you feel like you're getting some value, you can give some back on things like zap.stream, on nostr. And the last aspect there is that you can find information on there. So I don't know if you've noticed, but we talk about TikTok, but Google is the same kind of thing for me. In the last couple of years, Google, I think, has really gone off the deep end in terms of being a search engine. They got a lot of good stuff. They got their Gmail, their Meet, their Google Drive. But in terms of Google actually being a search engine, I think it's dog shit. If you've tried searching anything on Google outside of like a local business, but if you actually want to get some information about things, Google is the worst place you can find it. The first 20 links on there are just ads. They're just shoving things down your throat and not giving you any sort of information. And so the cool thing about nostr is that you could go on there, you make a post, whatever question you have, whether you're looking to buy a new Bitcoin miner, you're looking for some feedback for a new Bitcoin product, new Bitcoin exchange. You just type it in there and say, where should I buy a Bitcoin miner from? And then you use hashtag ask nostr. So where should I buy a Bitcoin miner? Hashtag ask nostr. And there's going to be somebody on there or several people who are going to help you out, point you in the right direction, and then you can send them value in return. Because with Google, even though you're getting all this information for free, first of all, it's dog shit. And second of all, you're paying for it with your data. That's everything that they're collecting on you is your data. That's how you're paying for to use Google for free. So seriously consider getting on Nostr. You can find my NPub in the description if you want to give me a follow on there. Make sure you send me a DM or a email and just say, I just followed you on Nostr. This is my username on YouTube, just so I can kind of connect the two. I think it's much easier than just a bunch of random people, because I don't go through my list of people following me. So if you want to connect on Nostr, today is the time to do it. And maybe I'll catch up on the chat here a little bit, and then I'll talk about a few different best practices that I've been using on Nostr. Rock and roll is in the house. Love the orange sweater, looks great. Pretty nice, eh? I figured that every morning I wear a gray sweater, gray hoodie with a blue hat, but today I figured it's a Saturday special. We'll throw on the orange one. It's a little bit hard on the eyes though for some people, so I like to only bring it out on special occasions. Bob, this is great information here. And let's verify this. Let's verify this. See if Bob's right. Bob says the last whole Bitcoin will take about 40 years to mine. So this would be rewards. 40 years would go back to about 2100. So let's see what this adds up to here. Might even be more than this. Why isn't it adding these up for me? Come on, Excel. What's your issue here? The one thing about going through school and getting my CPA, the accountants fucking love spreadsheets. So this is one thing I did learn from school and education. That still seemed low. Might even be more than that, Bob. Might be more than 40 years. I don't know why it's not summing for me. Let's go 20. Let's go to 20. That's still not. It might be more than that, Bob. No, that can't be right. I think I'm going. That's per fucking block. Where's per day? I don't know. We'll trust Bob. Usually we like to verify things here, but this isn't working out too good on live TV. Okay, Bob. Well, you know what we're going to do here? You earn the 1,000 sats. You're going to get them. Shoot me an email, 88 sats, and let me know what your Lightning address is or a Lightning invoice, and I'll fire them over. I wanted to do it live on the show, but nobody else was prepared for it. Be suspicious. Melt up. There's another new face in the chat. Welcome, my friend. He says, be suspicious of any time they want to ban or censor something on either side. Anytime they're banning books, anytime they're banning apps, anytime they're banning videos, on either side, good or bad, should never happen. So I completely agree there with Melt Up. So that's Nostr. We're going to wrap the show up. We're almost at an hour here. We don't need to see my big face on there twice. Good God. Trying different things here. We're trying to make things work. That's what we're doing. So Nostr. All you got to do, very simple. Whether you have an iPhone, whether you have Android, you go to the App Store, you download an app called either Damus, D-A-M-U-S, or you download Primal. Those are kind of the two that I would suggest using right off the bat. You're going to get set up with a public key and you're going to get set up with a private key. Think of those like your username and password. So your public key is like your username and your private key is like your password. So they're going to set you up with that. That key pair, very similar to Bitcoin, that's going to set you up with access to any different client on Nostr. So even if you decide that you don't want to use Damus anymore, you can use that key to hook up to Primal or to Snort or to whatever client comes out in the future. But this stuff is coming. It's going to get worse. We're in 2024. What they love to do before a presidential election is censor the truth. So you want to be on places such as Nostr where they can't really do that. And the really nice thing about Nostr, it's not decentralized. But the one thing that you can do is if you went onto Damus and you sent out a post or whatever it is that the creator of Damus didn't like, he can kick you off of there. But you take that same public key and private key, you log into a different nostr client, and that's the difference there is you can just, everything will look the exact same. You're still going to have all your followers. You're still going to have all your posts. Everything's going to look the exact same. It's just going to be on a different client. So yes, they can shut you down on one client, but they can't shut you down on nostr. So get set up on there, get an account, send me a message or an email with your npub. I'll follow you on there, and let's just start using it more. Let's get off of applications like Twitter. It's such a cesspool of shit. Let's get off of applications like even TikTok. I mean, there's good stuff on there, but let's spend our time in nostr and really push this thing forward, because we have the ability to do it. Nobody's going to tell us if we can or can't. We have the ability to do it. So let's just do it. Yeah, Bob, I screwed that up. That's my bad. It's hard to do things live. Rick, great point here. 27 watching and only 8 likes. We can do much better than that. So I do want to say a big shout out here to everybody who joined in the Zapdot stream. We will continue doing it on there now that I have it figured out. I'll do a little bit more tweaking on there, but it is really good to see people on there, and the chat was going. We had Zombie in there. We had Brave Little Toaster. We had Letha testing it out. And we had, the nice thing about that is you can actually connect it with your nostr account. So I think that you can either just set up a username, or you can connect it to your nostr and your Lightning. And then if you want to send some zaps to comments on there or to the stream itself, you can. So shout out to Zap.stream, everybody on there. I appreciate you. Everybody on YouTube, just as much. It was a good show today. A little bit scrambly, but you can send them here. I don't know how to send Bitcoin over YouTube. I don't think that's a thing. Is it? Or maybe the link just didn't show up. Bob, send me an email, 88sats@proton.me with it, and I will, I'll get you there. So that is the show for today. The Saturday special, the very first Saturday special. And yes, as Rock and Roll says, hey, Team Bitcoin Journey, get on Signal. That's what we're doing. We're skipping the Discords. We're skipping the Patreon group. We're actually going directly into nostr. The nice thing, or to Signal. The nice thing about Signal now is you don't actually need a phone number anymore. You just have a username. And so everybody within the Living in the Future group on there, we got a little group chat going where we're going to just share resources, share ideas, and really just focus on the future, on building, and every single day putting more and more energy into that. So any questions on joining, on questions you have, anything you want from me, send me an email, 88sats@proton.me, 88sats.proton.me. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear any input, any comments, any questions you have, and how I can help you out in any way. I think that's a real Bitcoin mentality that a lot of people sleep on, is that it's a whole mindset shift. It's decentralized. It's doing things together instead of trying to manipulate people and trying to extract from other people. It's building together, because at the end of the day, we're just going through this whole thing together. That's all we're doing here. And channels like this are just a connection for that, to find other people in the chat. So once again, as Rick said, make sure you press the like on the way out. If you don't subscribe yet, you probably should. I won't ask you to, but if this was something that interests you, you want to see more of it, we do a live show every single day, or not every single day, Monday to Friday, and the occasional Saturday. So I hope you have a great day, a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here first thing on Monday morning. We got a good one then. We're talking nostr, we're talking Bitcoin, and we're talking the truth and how they compare. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.